dear students. I am Dr. Shikha Pandey, Associate Professor from the Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. Today we are going to discuss about the basic definition and terminology related with the topic environment and ecosystem. That is from the module number 1. So let's start this lecture with the first word, that is about the environment. The basic definition of environment, because in this from now in this lecture series we are going to learn about the basic terminology and definition related with this environmental studies subject. So first of all we'll start with the word environment. Environment word means is derived from a word that is environia. Environment is a word that has been derived from a French word that means environia, which means encircle or surroundings. So environmental studies deals with the every issue that affects an organism. That means environment refers to any surrounding which vary from place to place and continents depending upon physiographic, topographic, climate and the available natural resources. So this is about the environment. First of all, the first term we'll get from this topic, that is environia. Environment, and environment is a word that is derived from a French word that is environia. That means to surround. That means to surround or to encircles, means a human being that is been surrounded by a things that will be vary from place to place and continents depending upon its physiographic, topography, climates and the available natural resources. That is called as environment. Environment words means a surrounding or to encircle a place that has been vary from place to place and continents depending upon the physiographic factors, topographical factors, climates and the available natural resources. This is called as environment. Now next term we are going to study in this lecture, that is ecosystem. Ecosystem, first of all, the basic definition of ecosystem. Ecosystem is a smallest unit of biosphere that has all the characteristics to support life. Means ecosystem is the smallest unit of an biosphere which have all the feasible factors to survival for a life, survival for which needs support for survival for a life. And ecosystem of example of ecosystem is a pond ecosystem, forest ecosystem, desert ecosystem, marine ecosystem, urban ecosystem are the examples of the ecosystem. So ecosystem is the smallest unit of biosphere. Biosphere, we can, in biosphere everything is there, that is atmosphere, that is hydrosphere. In total hydrosphere is there, soil is there, so in total we call it biosphere. But a little bit only if we'll consider a pond ecosystem, a desert ecosystem, then we will define this ecosystem as a smallest unit of biosphere, means a smallest unit that is present of the biosphere and it has all the characteristics to support our life is called a ecosystem. And examples of ecosystem is the pond ecosystem, forest ecosystem, desert ecosystem, marine ecosystem, urban ecosystem. These are the examples of the ecosystem. Means ecosystem is a very smallest all structural unit that will support all the life that is present on the earth. And ecosystem will have many characteristics, like it will have two components, abiotic component and biotic components. Now comes to the next thing about define biotic structure and abiotic component of ecosystem. These kind of question will come in your examination in 1 or 2 marks. Then this is the basic question. I think in every time they will ask, because and this is a very basic terminology and questions that has been asked by any people or any examination, and it should be known by any person. Like this is the very basic things. So first is about a biotic structure and abiotic component of ecosystem. First, biotic structure means living organism that is present on the earth. Biotic word means living organism. Biotic are living organism and abiotic are non-living organism. Non-living organism that is present on the ecosystem. So altogether this biotic structure and abiotic structure will make an ecosystem. So when we are talking about the biotic components of an ecosystem, so this we can include the plants, animals, microorganism that is present on an ecosystem is called as biotic components. Likewise abiotic components, if we we'll talk about the abiotic structure. It will include all the non-living things of the ecosystem like physical factor. So in physical factor, we'll talk about soil, temperature, light and water. Like in chemical factor, which will consist of inorganic compound like nitrogen, carbon, hydrogen, potassium, phosphorus and sulfur, and some organic compounds like carbohydrate and protein. So all together, these will form a abiotic structure of an ecosystem. So in an ecosystem is a interaction of biotic factor with abiotic factor. Then only a living organism can survive in any ecosystem. So every ecosystem have two components, biotic component and abiotic component. Biotic components are living things that are present on that particular ecosystem, and like that abiotic are those factors that are present on the ecosystem, like they are non-living things of the ecosystem. Like physical factors that are present on the ecosystem are physical factor like soil, temperature, light and water. Chemical factors and inorganic compounds are NC, nitrogen, carbon, hydrogen, potassium, phosphorus, and some organic compounds like carbohydrate and protein. So these all together will make an ecosystem. That's why these two are the main basic component of an ecosystem. Now comes to the next terms, that is about herbivores and carnivores. Herbivores are those animals that are present on the earth that will feed directly on the living plants or remains of plant is called as herbivores. Herbivores are those plants that will eat green plant, feed directly on living plants, means that will feed directly to the living plants, and its example is a rabbit, deer, insects. So we can call them these are the herbivores of any ecosystem. If we will talk about the forest ecosystem, so in forest ecosystem, rabbit, deer, insects are the herbivores, and carnivores are those animals that are flesh eating, that feed on carnivores. Means herbivores are the lower trophic structure of any ecosystem, and then after that carnivores will come. So carnivores will eat these herbivores. If, as we have already discussed about the structure of an ecosystem, it should be in a pyramid manner. So first these base are the herbivores, and after that carnivores are there. So carnivores will, so this is the higher trophic level, this is the lower trophic level. So carnivores will feed on the herbivores animals, so they are called as carnivores. And the example of carnivores are the snake, birds, lizard and fox. These are the examples of carnivores animals, means they are flesh eating animals. They will decompose on the herbivores, and herbivores are present in the lower base of an ecosystem. So they are of the higher trophic level. And next is about the decomposer. Decomposer are a word, define a decomposer. So we can say that they are very important in an ecosystem as they are responsible for recycling of nutrients. Decomposer attack on dead producer animal and animal waste, making them simple stable compound. So that is the work a decomposer can do, because decomposer are very important in an ecosystem, because decomposer will decompose dead producer animal or waste, and then they will stabilize it into a simple compound, and then again they will utilize all this energy into the atmosphere. So that we can say that decomposer will decompose all the nutrients that is present in a dead organism. If an organism is dead, so that is decomposed by any decomposer, and then they will bring about all the nutrients present in that dead producer or animal, or any animal waste or any rudiments are there, then they will again bring back all these nutrients into the atmosphere. That's why they are playing a very important role in the recycling of nutrients, because they will recycle the important nutrient that is present in any producer or consumer that are already dead, and they will bring out the important nutrients that are present in that particular animal, and they will again make them utilize for the producer, and then the recycling of nutrient will start in that trophic system. So this is about the decomposers. Now next thing is about, in this definition and terminology, we are going to talk about the food chains. Means food chains. What is food chain? Food chain is a transfer of food energy from producer through a series of organisms like herbivores, carnivores, and successively with the repeated activities of eating and being eaten is known as food chain. Means food chain is is a chain of an organism, is a series of organism, then they are being eaten by, and that will lastly end at the decomposer level, and then they will again come back to the producer level, and this is called as a food chain. For example, if we will take the example of a grass ecosystem, we can say that grass is there. Grass can be eaten by grasshopper, and grasshopper uh, is eaten by rabbits, and then rabbits are eaten by some deer. So this is the example of a food chain. Here, the transfer of food energy from one trophic level to another trophic level is called as food chain. Means from one trophic level, from lower trophic level to higher trophic levels. Like we have already discussed about the trophic level in an ecosystem. Like this base is the first trophic level, and then second trophic level, then third trophic level. First one is about herbivores. Second one is about carnivores, and third one is about tertiary consumers. So the transfer of food from lower trophic level to higher trophic level is called as food chain, and it is produced through a series of organisms, means like herbivores to carnivores, and then to decomposers, and then they will again bring back that organism, that particular nutrient into the atmosphere. So this is, and it is a repeated and activities of eating and being eaten is known as food chain. So this is all about the food chain. Next is the defined grazing food chain. Grazing food chain starts with the green plants like primary producer and goes to herbivores and to the carnivores. Means if we'll talk about the food chain is also two types, and sometimes they'll ask in examination like define the grazing food chain. Grazing food chains means food chains, normal food chain. Food chain in any ecosystem means those food chain that will start with a producer and end with a carnivores or decomposer. So this is a grazing food chain, means normal food chain. And next is about the detritus food chain. Detritus food chain starts from a dead organic matter like some dead leaf, some dead plants or dead animal, and goes to the herbivores and then again to the carnivores. So this will starts with the decomposers. This food chain like is start with a decomposer, and grazing food chain start with a producer. Producer means green plant and green plant. So it will start with a green plant, this grazing food chain, and it is a normal kind of food chain that will coming in an ecosystem. Means the normal food chain that has been started with a green plant, that is primary producer to secondary producer to tertiary consumer. So this is all about the grazing food chain. And next, detritus food chain. This food chain starts from any dead organic matter like dead leaves, plants or animals, and it will goes to the herbivores and to the carnivores. This is about the detritus food chain. Now comes to the next slide, that is about the defined food web. The definition of the food web, like food web is a network of food chains, means it is a network of food chains, means lots of food chain are involved, then we will call it as a food web. That has been networks of food chains which are interconnected at various trophic level to form a number of feeding connection among different organisms of a biotic community. It is called as food web. Means a number of food chains which are interconnected at a various trophic level, and it will form a number of feeding connection also with different organism of a biotic community is called as food web. These are very common questions that has been asked by in any examination. Then what is ecological pyramid? Ecological pyramid is a graphical representation of various trophic level with producer forming the base and top occupy the carnivores. Ecological pyramid is a pyramid kind of structure that will start graphical representation of various trophic level with producers are at the base, and then forming the base and the top occupied by the carnivores. As we are already discussing about this thing, this is a trophic level of any ecosystem, that is a producer is there in carnivores and then decomposer. This is the common structure of any ecosystem. Means base will start with a producer, then carnivores and then decomposer, and the first trophic level, second trophic level and third trophic level. Like this it will be going to reduce, and producer are generally more in number, and then consumers are there, and that we are going to discuss about in the next slides, like the structure of this pyramid. So generally we can called ecological pyramid is a graphical representation of various trophic levels with producer forming the base and top occupy the carnivores. Next is the pyramid of biomass. First, this is the ecological pyramid. And as it is clear that ecological pyramid means pyramid is a graphical representation of various trophic level with the producers that will form. Producer will be at base and then top occupy the carnivores and decomposers. And then next definition is about the pyramid of biomass. Biomass is the amount of organic matter present at successive trophic level in terms of their mass is called as pyramid of biomass. Means amount of organic matter present at a successive trophic level in terms of their mass, it is called as a pyramid of biomass. So definition of pyramid of biomass is that the amount of organic matter present at a successive tropical level in terms of their mass is called as pyramid of biomass. Means pyramid of biomass will count the all organisms in terms of the biomass. Means biomass, if more biomass is there, they will come at the lower side of this pyramid. Like this is the example of this pyramid of biomass. Now come to the next question, that is about the pyramid of energy. It is about the amount of energy trapped per unit time and area at different trophic levels of food chain, with the producer forming the base and the top carnivores at the apex is called as pyramid of energy. So pyramid of energy, we can say that this is a very normal kind of a pyramid that will happen in any ecosystem, like the amount of energy trapped per unit time and area at different trophic level of a food chain, with the producer forming the base. Producer is at the base, and then carnivores and decomposer, secondary and tertiary carnivores is there, and the apex. This kind of pyramid is called as, this apex is called as pyramid of energy. Pyramid of energy is always in the shape of pyramid, because already we have studied about the 10% loss of energy, because from this tropic level, lower tropic level to higher tropic level, obviously some amount of energy has been lost. So due to this loss of energy, this pyramid will be formed, because as we already know that from lower tropic level to higher tropic level, always 10% of energy is lost. So from that second level to third level, again 10% of energy will be lost. So that's why in any ecosystem, either in pond ecosystem or in forest ecosystem or in desert ecosystem, anywhere, if we are going to study this pyramid of energy, that will be always in upright in nature, that will be always in triangular pyramid kind of shape. This is a very important question that has been asked in every examination, like why this pyramid of energy is always in this shape, always in upright shape. It is all due to the 10% loss of energy from one tropic level to another tropic level. And next question is about the what are biochemical cycle. Biochemical cycle means the cycling of nutrients like carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, hydrogen, water, sulfur and phosphorus moves in circular path through biotic and abiotic component is known as biogeochemical cycles. So biogeochemical cycles means some nutrients are already present on the earth. So recycling of nutrients and the examples of nutrients are carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, hydrogen, water, sulfur and phosphorus, that will move in a circular path through the activity and subcomponents of any biotic or abiotic component is known as biogeochemical cycle. So the movement or recycling or the path of nutrients in any ecosystem in the atmosphere by some the activity of some biotic activity or abiotic activity, then we'll call them as a biogeochemical cycle. Biogeochemical cycle means those cycle that are nutrient cycle that are present on the earth, and that will be move in a circular path through with the components of ecosystem. Biotic and abiotic components are known as biogeochemical cycle. Next question is about the definition of nitrogen fixation. Nitrogen fixation, already we have studied about nitrogen fixation. Nitrogen fixation, the fixation of nitrogen compound in the atmosphere that break and combine with other compound, means the process in which nitrogen has been fixed into the atmosphere is called as nitrogen fixation. Nitrogen compound into the atmosphere breaks and combine with other compound, then this is called as nitrogen fixation. So now the next term that has been associated with nitrogen fixation. First one is about the ammonification and then define nitrification. So first we have already understand what is nitrogen fixation. The fixation of nitrogen into the earth by some means, that is atmospheric fixation or biological fixation, or that is called as nitrogen fixation. So in biological nitrogen fixation, we will go to study this nitrogen fixation by biological means process. So next term will come, that is ammonification. So what will happen when any plant or animal die or release waste, then nitrogen is returned to the soil as ammonia. This is a general term we can understand about this ammonification. Means, and after the death of any individual, any organism, the nitrogen is returned to the soil, that is in the form of ammonia. So the bacteria, that is nitrite bacteria in the soil and in the water, which take up ammonia and convert it into the nitrite, and the another bacteria that is called as nitrate bacteria take that nitrite and convert it into the nitrate, which can be taken up by the plants to continue the cycle in the form of nitrate. To bring about ammonia in the form of nitrate, NH4 plus. So plant can take this nitrate for their to continue the cycle. So to bring down those ammonia into the atmosphere in the form of nitrate is called as ammonification. So when some plants or animal die or release waste, the nitrogen is returned to the soil as ammonia. And the bacteria, that is nitrite bacteria in the soil and in the water, which take up ammonia and convert it to the nitrite, and another some bacteria is there, nitrate bacteria, that will take nitrite and convert it to nitrate, which can be taken up by plants to continue the cycle. Next term related with this nitrogen fixation is the define nitrification. So nitrification, we can define it as it is a means of conversion of ammonia into nitrite by some of the bacteria, so as nitrosomonas, nitrococcus in oceans and soils. Nitrification means conversion of ammonia into nitrite by some bacteria. These bacteria, nitrosomonas bacteria and nitrococcus bacteria in the ocean and soil, is called as nitrification. Nitrification means the conversion of ammonia into the nitrite by some of the nitrosomonas bacteria, nitrococcus bacteria in the oceans and soil, is called as nitrification. This is about nitrification. Now this is about nitrification. Now comes to the next question that will be related with the law of energy. Law of energy is define the first law of thermodynamics. First one is about the next question is there, that is about the definition of first law of the thermodynamics. First law of thermodynamics stated that energy can neither be created nor be destroyed, but it can be transformed from one form to another form. Means we cannot create or we cannot destroy the energy that is already present on the earth. Only what we will do, we can convert it into the one form to another form. This is about the first law of thermodynamics. And so if we'll consider the example of a ecosystem and a green plant, so what will happen in that ecosystem? The green plant will transform solar energy to biochemical energy, and when they will travel to the other tropic level, and then this energy will travel to the another tropic level. So this is about the first law of thermodynamics. First law of thermodynamics states that energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. Only what will do, it can be transformed from one place to one form to another form. This is about the first law of thermodynamics. So what will happen if we'll take the example of an ecosystem, in an ecosystem, primary producer, what they will do, they will transform solar energy into the biochemical energy. Then they will transform this biochemical energy to the next tropic level. This is about the first law of thermodynamics. And now comes to the second law of thermodynamics. In this second law of thermodynamics, energy dissipates as it is used, or in other words, it gets converted from a more concentrated to dispersed form. No energy transformation is 100% efficient. It is always accompanied by some dispersion or loss of energy that will be in the form of heat. So first law is about the creation, and energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. Only it can be converted from one form to another form. Like that happen in an ecosystem. Primary producer will fix energy from sunlight, and then they will convert this solar energy into the biochemical energy, and then that biochemical energy will be passed from one tropic level to another tropic level. And the same thing will happen in the second law of thermodynamics, that will state that the energy dissipates as it is used on, and in other word we can say that some amount of energy can be dispersed when we will use that energy. So this is about the 10% law of thermodynamics. 10% law of loss of energy means some energy can be lost, and no transformation of energy is 100% efficient. From the transformation of energy from one tropic level to another tropic level, some energy has been dispersed, means that only 100% of energy cannot be transformed. So it is always accompanied by some dispersion or loss of energy that will be in the form of heat. What will happen? There is always a loss of some amount of energy in the form of heat, that is called as 10% law of energy. That has been given and it has been a universal law of energy. First one is about the creation and destroy of energy, transformation of energy from one form to another form. And second law states that there is no transformation is 100% pure, because some amount of energy can be destroyed, can be dissipated, or can be dispersed from while converting one form to another form. This is about the law of energy. That's why we have already studied that the energy of pyramid is always upright in nature, because from energy travel from producer to carnivores or to the herbivores, some amount of energy has been lost. That's why this energy pyramid is always in pyramid mode for this kind. Now comes to the what is universal energy flow model. Next question is the universal energy flow model. So when we will see the flow of energy that is take place, there is a gradual loss of energy at each level, thereby resulting in less energy level at the next tropic level. So when we will talk about the universal energy flow model, there is some gradual loss of energy from one tropic level to another tropic level. To each tropic level, there is some loss of energy, and that will result in the less energy available to the next tropic level. So this is called as universal energy flow model. That will be energy flow model in any ecosystem. We can take the example of either desert ecosystem, either pond ecosystem, or in a grassland ecosystem. We can say that there is some amount of energy will be lost while passing from one tropic level to another tropic level. This is called as universal energy flow model. Next is a single chain and energy flow model. This means that there is a flow of energy takes place in a unidirectional manner, that is grazing food chain energy transfer through an ecosystem. We can say that in a single chain energy flow model, there is an energy can be flow unidirectional manner, and its example is the grazing food chain. Means those grazing food chain, we already discussed that grazing food chain will be starts from a energy transformation in a normal ecosystem, like the energy that is starts with the producer. This is called as single chain energy flow model. Next is about the hydrological cycle. We have already studied about the biochemical cycle. So in this way, next question is about the hydrological cycle. Hydrological cycle means with the use of solar heat, water evaporates or water is lost to the atmosphere as vapor from sea or ocean, which are then precipitated back in the form of rain, snow, frost, etc. The evaporation and precipitation will continue, and thereby a balance is maintained between these two processes, and this process is known as a hydrological cycle. Means due to the sun energy, due to the solar energy, that the water that is present in the lake or pond is evaporates from lake, and then coming back this energy to the atmosphere is called as hydrological energy. So then due to evaporation, that has been vapor in the form of vapor, water is lost to the atmosphere as vapor from sea or ocean. Then when precipitated back in the form of rain, snow or frost, then it will be precipitated back in the form of rain, frost or snow, and the evaporation and precipitation continue forever, and thereby a balance is maintained between these two, and this process is known as hydrological cycle or water cycle. So due to the solar heat, Due to the sun heat that is present on the earth, the conversion of water into the rain, into the evaporation, and by the process of precipitation on rain, that water will be again come back into the atmosphere. That is called as hydrological cycle. That is all about the water cycle. So this is about the hydrological cycle. This is again a very important question that will be asked in any examination. Next thing about the biomagnification. Biomagnification is the process of biomagnification is also known as bioamplification or biological magnification. So, in the simple term, when we talk about the biomagnification, it is the increase of concentration of any pollutant from as it passes from one trophic level to the next trophic level. This is called as biomagnification. Biomagnification means if any chemical is present in any one trophic level, then if they will pass to their higher trophic level, their concentration will be increased. So this biomagnification is very harmful thing, and this is about you can say that if some very little amount of pollutant is present in the fish body, and then if a human will consume that fish, that will be 10 times higher than the fish body. That will be automatically increased up to 10 times than a fish body. So this is a very important example for this biomagnification is a DDT example. So what will happen? DDT is spread for pest control in a very low concentration, but its concentration increased along the food chain through some phytoplankton and zooplanktons. A very small amount of DDT is there in the pond ecosystem, but this a small amount of DDT is in the phytoplankton and zooplankton. When it will be passed to their higher trophic level, that is in the fish, its concentration is automatically increased. So after fish, then if they will be eaten by the birds, then its concentration will be magnified several thousand times in the birds, which causes thinning of cells in the bird, that will causing death of an young one in the bird. So this is about the biomagnification, means biological magnification of any pollutant that are already present in the nature. So if we'll add a very little amount of pollutant in the water, so that will be increased, that will be biomagnified from one trophic level to another trophic level, and that will be very much dangerous and harmful for the higher trophic level. For the lower trophic level, that is already in a very less amount, so that will be not harm in such manner. But if it will be passed to the next trophic level, then automatically its concentration will be increased and it will be biomagnified, and due to increase in the concentration, that will be going to harm at a very higher level. Like that, if some amount of DDT is present in the water, that will be consumed by zooplankton, phytoplankton in very small amount, and then it will be this phytoplankton has been eaten by some fish, and then this fish has been eaten by some birds. So the concentration of DDT will be magnified several thousand times in the bird, and that will causes thinning of cells in the birds and egg, causing death of the young ones. So this is about the biomagnification, and the very common example, very important example of this biomagnification is the example of DDT. Now comes to the next definition, that is about the carrying capacity. Carrying capacity, what is carrying capacity? Carrying capacity means a population size of any species that tends to stabilize at the particular level, which is known as the carrying capacity of that specific population. Means ecosystem will have some capacity to nourish or to develop young ones of any population. That is called as carrying capacity of that particular ecosystem. So in an ecosystem, it can only support as many organisms as it has resource, and space capacity, that is called as carrying capacity. So carrying capacity is equal to maximum number of organisms that can live in one population. In an ecosystem over some time, each species has their different carrying capacity. So carrying capacity means a capacity of any ecosystem that can nourish or that can sustain individuals of a particular population in any ecosystem over some time. Means ecosystem will not have that much of capacity to nourish or to take the individuals into the particular ecosystem. So this is about the carrying capacity of any particular ecosystem. Means any size, the population size of any species that tends to stabilize at a particular level, which is known as the carrying capacity of ecosystem. And every species have their own carrying capacity. Every species have some own carrying capacity. So an ecosystem can only support as many organisms at it has some resource and space for that particular species. So carrying capacity is equal to maximum number of organisms that can live in one population in an ecosystem over time. Every species has a different carrying capacity. So all species have some different carrying capacity. Carrying capacity is equal to maximum number of organisms that can live in one population or in an ecosystem over a particular time. This is called as carrying capacity of that ecosystem. Means maximum number of individual that can live or survive one population in a particular ecosystem. So this is called as carrying capacity. When we'll study about the population ecology, then this factor is a very important factor about like the carrying capacity of particular ecosystem towards the individual. Then only, because ecosystem has some constraint that it will not provide much shelter, much resources for the more number of population. So this is about the carrying capacity. Now this is about the carrying capacity. Thank you for today's lecture. This is all about for today's lecture.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.